Kurt Warner says Shedeur Sanders wasn't a fifth-round draft prospect in his opinion, and he's excited to see how this Cleveland Browns quarterback room plays out. Stay tuned as Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick, joins in the second half of the show to break this down and more. To start, 247 Sports publisher for SunDevilSports.com, Chris Karpman joins the show to break down Cam Skattebo's potential for the Giants this season. Join us as we are live here on Bailey Price Media Live. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media, I like it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live. Today, I got a very, very special show for you. In the second half of the show, Alcorn State Coach Leroy Frederick joins the show to break down Kurt Warner saying Shedeur Sanders wasn't a fifth-round draft prospect. We're also going to talk Colorado transfer running back Brandon Hood committing to UMass. I thought that was kind of surprising considering his brother went to Tennessee. We're going to discuss that and so much more. Cam Skattebo's potential for the Giants. We're going to discuss that with Chris Karpman, who writes for SunDevilSports.com, 247 Arizona State Sun Devils. We're going to discuss that. Kenny Dillingham's impact on the Arizona State football program as he's really turned around ASU in the last year here. And I think he's very prideful and a big fan of Arizona State Sun Devils football, and I think that's a great fit for Kenny Dillingham. We're going to discuss that and so much more. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. One thing I want to mention, something we will do here is membership call-ins here. So if you'd like to become a member here of the Bailey Price Media Army today, we got the comment pinned here at the top of the description here. Go ahead and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today, and go and have call-ins here at the end of the show. One thing we'll do is keep it short and sweet. You'll come on, talk your shit, give your hot take, so to speak. We will debate it for about a minute or two and get you out of here. So if you'd like to become a member, call in and debate some NFL or college football, go ahead and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Before our main man, Chris Karpman, joins the show, I want to break down a list for you guys here. Top 10 quarterbacks college football-wise here. I thought this was an interesting list here. We're in May, so it's a little early, but we're getting closer to the college football season. And I saw a list come out from my guy, Joel Klatt. Shout out to Joel Klatt, Colorado alum, great analyst of Fox Sports. Puts out his list, top 10 quarterbacks here. You got Cade Klubnik at 1, Arch Manning at 2, John Mateer, Washington State quarterback transfer, is going to start for Venables, Ben Arbuckle, the OC down there in Oklahoma. So number 3, Sam Leavitt, Aller over at Penn State. Nussmeier down at LSU, who I think is a great player, underrated for LSU. Lagway down at Florida, I thought that was always interesting. I think he's going to have a great season for Billy Napier. Lenora Sellers. Let me talk about Lenora Sellers a little bit. Man, I think Lenora Sellers is a hell of a player. Really great player. I think we got to see flashes of his greatness last season for South Carolina. But I think him and Shane Beamer's system going into this season, I've said this multiple times on the show, and I will continue to reiterate. I believe Lenora Sellers has the chance to become the best quarterback in college football, and I think South Carolina has a serious shot to win the SEC. I get, people kind of throw them under the bus, kind of underrate them a little bit. Man, watch out. They got a lot of their guys back, got their running back back. I think having a whole offseason, Lenora Sellers to develop, building off his performance of last season. JB's not high on Lenora Sellers at all. I think he's AR5. I think if you actually watch Lenora Sellers play, he's a little bit different of a player than AR5. Certainly he's got the same type of athleticism as AR5, our guy AR5, but I think Lenora Sellers has the potential to become the best player in college football, best quarterback in college football. Go to Altmaier in Illinois. Now, Illinois, they have potential to surprise some people in the Big Ten. They just extended their head coach Bielema $7.7 million a year, gave him a massive extension over there. Illinois has the potential to really surprise some people in the Big 12. They get a lot of their guys back, and I think Illinois is really going under the radar of those who are, predicting college football here. Watch out for Luke Altmaier in Illinois, and then Carson Beck in Miami. Oh, man, that one, I smell recipe for disaster. I know I just had Steve Kim on last week talking all things Hurricanes, and they just got the 5-star kid, number 1 tackle in the class of 2026, Jackson Cantwell. But I don't know, man. I think Clemson, 1, is going to give Miami trouble in the ACC. 2, I think Carson Beck, I don't know. It seems like I'm not going to jump the gun and say any crazy stuff, but it seems like he went down there for the girl. The girl left him. I don't know, bro. But looking at Miami, I think they lost a lot, especially in the offensive side. I think losing Damian Martinez is a big, big loss for them. And, they really need to see how they fill Damian Martinez, because I think that was a big part of Cam Ward's success last season, having that safety valve, having that guy that they can give the ball to on the goal line, give that ball to 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, short yardage situations, and just having a guy who's consistent running the football. Damian Martinez, I think if Miami can fill that and have another guy that's ready to go like Damian Martinez, I think that would be great. I think it's a great get for the Seahawks, by the way. Damian Martinez going to Seattle. But Carson Beck waits to be seen. I don't know. I don't know if I'm very high on him. I think the ACC is Clemson's conference to win, but I think the ACC conference as a whole is really wide open. I've talked about him plenty on this show. Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels, I really would like to watch them and see how they do in the ACC. I think they made a lot of recruiting waves in the transfer portal that I think are kind of going under the radar. They're getting some serious guys here. People aren't talking about it because Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, who, by the way, since I'm on the topic, Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend are, I guess, engaged. Quote, Miss Hudson has told at least one person that she and Mr. Belichick are engaged to be married. Oh, I wish I had Matt for this one, because, oh my Lord, I've not had real pushback with the 24-year-old girlfriend, with the possible exception that it would force Bill Belichick to be out of North Carolina. But from what I've heard, the media is running with this, so to speak, kind of blowing it out of proportion. So I expect Bill Belichick to be just fine for the Tar Heels, coaching for them, no matter the status of the 24-year-old now fiance, so to speak, or I just can't believe this. Bill Belichick, 24-year-old girlfriend Jordan Hudson are engaged. Unfucking believable, unbelievable headline. And yeah, it's just another era of college football here, folks. Shout out to the Tar Heels. Go Tar Heels, babe. Moving forward, I wanted to break down some ACC win totals here as we wait for our guy. If we hear from our guy Chris Karpman here to join the show here. But let's go ahead and break this down. So you got Clemson at the top of the list at 9.5. Yeah, I expect Clemson to be a 10-win team, getting their quarterback back, Klubnik. I think this is Clemson's season to win the ACC once again. Louisville is going to be interesting. 8.5. They lose their quarterback again. We'll see who steps up for them at the quarterback position. Obviously, Tyler Shook, the quarterback who they had last year, drafted by the Saints in the second round. Some were surprised by that. 8.5, wait to be seen. Going down to Miami. If Miami doesn't win 9 games, oh boy, people are going to be screaming, fire Mario Cristobal from the rafters, because I know if anything about the Canes, they're expecting nothing but greatness. They expect to build off of their great season last season with Cam Ward. They're bringing another 1-year plug and play, so to speak, and Carson Beck, quarterback. Hey, if the Canes don't win 9 games, there's going to be a lot of upset fans down in Miami County here, and a lot of upset Cane fans. SMU 8.5. SMU is going to be a team to watch. They got their quarterback back, lost Brashard Smith, who I think is a great get for the Chiefs' queendom. Wait to be seen with them. 8.5, get their quarterback back. But I'd like to see how they fare in ACC play. Really see how good some of these other teams, like the next team here, Florida State, 7.5. They got the Boston College transfer quarterback Castellanos quarterback, so I'd like to see how he does. He's working with, speaking of which, he's working with Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward's old quarterback trainer at Select QB Athletics here. He's working with Daryl, and wait to be seen with them. But I don't know if they don't win. Again, win totals. They don't win. I'd say at least 7 or 8 games. Norvell is really going to be on the hot seat, because after going and winning 13 games and going and having the season you did last year, yeah, you're going to be in the hot seat if you don't really turn things around this year, especially you got a transfer quarterback. Let's see if it works for transfer quarterbacks. It didn't work last year for Florida State and have a DJU. Now, Now they will have Tavis Castellanos down there at quarterback. Georgia Tech 7.5. I think Georgia Tech obviously faces Colorado in week 1 of this season. I think Georgia Tech's going to be formidable. They get the quarterback back, Haynes King. I think they got a kid behind Haynes King who's a hell of a player too, but we got to see Haynes King this past season for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech had some pretty good wins last season, obviously opened up and took out Florida State, who was then ranked number 10, but ended up falling and not having as great of a season. Georgia Tech also took out Miami and Cam Ward later in the year as well. I think the Georgia Tech's bound for a great season, better season, especially they got Haynes King back. Shout out to Brett Key down there, great head coach, Georgia Tech. Looking at the Tar Heels and Bill Belichick, 7.5. Man, I'd love to see them get to 8, man. I really think, like I just mentioned with Bill Belichick, talking a little bit of Tar Heels, I think they, Michael Lombardi, the Lombardi effect, they're running that program like a professional organization. They're going out and getting guys that they need. It's literally a professional run organization. It ain't a college organization at all. And they said that when they were going in. That's why I'm such big fans of them. I think that's the way you need to approach college football, because if you're going to be real about college football is a professional football. Now, looking at their win total, 7.5, there's a lot of question marks in UNC. Their quarterback is a South Alabama transfer quarterback named Gio Lopez. He's lefty, had a great true freshman season with Major Applewhite in South Alabama. Now he transfers to UNC and Bill Belichick. I'm really excited about the kid. I'm pretty high on the kid. I'm pretty high on the Tar Heels as a whole. I think despite all the noise about the 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, I think they're going to go out and really play some quality professional football here, run the football, have some of the Patriot way, so to speak, in Chapel Hill. If I'm taking a win total, I'm a UNC guy. I'm a big fan of them, so I'd definitely lead into their win total of 7.5, see them get to 8. Moving forward, Duke and Manny Diaz coming off a good, pretty decent season last season for Manny Diaz's first season in Duke. They had Malik Murphy at quarterback, who I believe transferred to Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken here. Now they get Tulane transfer quarterback Darian Mensah coming to Duke, paying him, I believe, $8 million over 2 years. They gave him a big NIL deal in the portal here after he had a great true freshman season down at Tulane. Shout out to Sean King, Tulane legend, who is a frequent guest on this show. But looking at Duke, 6.5, I'd like to think Duke gets to 6.5. I really like Manny Diaz's first year. I really like what he did there. Now I expect them to build off of what they did in their first year. Got a great kid quarterback, and look for them to really build off of the Manny Diaz's first season last year. And NC State, the Wolfpack, 6.5. I'd like to see what their quarterback situation looks like, because last season I felt as though fortunately Grayson McCall, who I thought was a great kid, transferred over there. He bounced around a couple different schools, but he ended up at NC State last season. Unfortunately, had to medically retire from football due to an injury. I'd like to see how they are at the quarterback position, and then go from there when it comes to NC State. Looking at Virginia, 6.5. I had Virginia alum and 9-year NFL veteran Ray Roberts on the show to talk about Virginia. Virginia's still working, trying to turn around that program, so to speak. Tony Elliott, the head coach over there, working to turn around the program. Ray Roberts, who I just mentioned, is a believer in Tony, and look to see if they can turn it around here. I'm not too, I think they have a North Texas quarterback transfer starting there, so wait to be seen if they can turn their season around, or turn the program around, so to speak, and get to 7 wins. Virginia Tech and Kyron Jones, this is a team that I expect to get to 7 wins. Kyron Jones stays and plays them another year at Tech. I expect them to be formidable. I expect them to get to 7 wins. That's my take of Virginia Tech. Looking at Cal lost a lot in the portal. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost all 4 running backs. They lost a lot in the transfer portal. They lost my guy. I believe Tobias Merriweather was there at one point. He entered the portal as well as a big receiver. Went to Union High School in the state of Washington. They lost a lot of pieces at Cal. I'd like to see how Justin Wilcox, head coach there, goes and rebuilds Cal. See if he get to 7 wins. I don't know. In a rebuilding Cal program, I think that's going to be kind of tough. Especially they have to travel cross country. People don't really realize with Stanford and Cal being in the ACC, they got to travel cross country. The traveling schedule is ruthless. They got to go from Cal to Miami, then from Cal to Syracuse. Stanford ironically went to Syracuse last year and won in Syracuse in the Dome, which was interesting. But nonetheless, their cross country travel is ruthless. So I think it's going to be really, really tough. Looking at Cal this season. Boston College and Bill O'Brien, 5.5. Again, quarterback situation. They lose Castellanos to Florida State. I'd like to see who Bill O'Brien replaces. They replaced Castellanos midway through the season last year, so I expect whoever they have, I'd expect them to build in the offseason and become their full-time starter. Bill O'Brien, I'm surprised he wasn't plucked and someone hired him as their OC, but Bill O'Brien turned around the BC program. It's going to be interesting to watch with their quarterback situation. Same with Narduzzi and Pitt. Interesting to watch them. Syracuse has got 2 transfer quarterbacks battling out there. Stanford, they got Frank Reich as the head coach for 1 year as a kind of a stopgap head coach, so to speak. 3.5 wins. Ooh, boy. I mean, it's really tough to sit here and say Stanford is going to really compete with some of these teams in the ACC, considering it's Stanford. It's really, really tough to get in, and especially in the state of college football where you're recruiting exclusively the transfer portal. I think it's going to be really tough for Stanford going into the season. I don't know. Andrew Luck as their general manager. I don't know. I'd like to think that having Andrew Luck as a general manager is going to be an attraction, but again, that doesn't apply when it's Stanford, because not every kid, not even the average kid, can get into Stanford. I just know from former Stanford offensive lineman, was working in Bill's rookie minicamp, Levi Rogers, who's been on the show. I know his process coming out of high school. He had to have perfect grades. He was the best player in our team, top 5 tackle in the state of Washington. You gotta be great on the field and great off the field. Take care of your P's and Q's in the classroom, so to speak. So it's going to be tough for Stanford to really compete at a high level. I think, especially in the ACC, like I mentioned, cross country travel, so to speak. I think it's going to be really, really tough for them in this conference. Wake Forest, they get Dickert, head coach from Washington State, coming over. I thought the way he left Washington State was really interesting, but again, I don't blame him considering the nature of the beast when it comes to college football. This is the transfer portal era, so just like we saw him talk about when John Mateer left Washington State and then he goes and leaves. That's the nature of the beast. I don't really hold it too hard. We'll see if Jake Dickert can turn around Wake Forest and the Wake Forest program. I don't know if I'm looking or even interested in their win total at all. Folks, we're going to go ahead and take a brief break. When we come back, we're going to have Coach Leroy Frederick join the show to talk all things college football and NFL. Brandon Hood, Colorado transfer running back committing to UMass. We're also going to talk Kadon Salter in Colorado and their quarterback system. We're also going to talk Travis Hunter and the Jags and Jaguars legend Fred Taylor, saying Travis Hunter is a once-in-a-lifetime player, so to speak. We're going to discuss that and so much more. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. I can't thank you enough for joining, and I will see you in 2 minutes. Peace. Caleb Williams and his father, Carl, asked attorneys to find a workaround to the NFL bargaining agreement, explored signing in the UFL, and considered ripping the city of Chicago and the team to create a controversy, according to Seth Wickersham of ESPN.com. There was plenty of reporting on the subject in his upcoming books, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. I am joined by former Chicago Bears defense lineman Tank Johnson to break down the truth about this situation, as Tank has a history with this writer, Seth Wickersham. Now, Tank, can't thank you enough for joining. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us about who wrote this article, your history with Seth Wickersham, and all the history that goes with it? Go ahead.
Seth Wickersham, and he's a veteran in the game. He's been around a long time. He's highly respected for the work that he does, for the information that he gets. And, as far as journalism goes, as editor goes, he's probably one of the longest tenured senior writers at ESPN. But I'll tell you one thing, that my experience with Seth was, he asked me over and over for a few, maybe a couple weeks, we're going to come and do an interview with you. And this is me coming out of jail, signing my deal in Dallas. I really just wanted to keep a low profile. Rich Darwimple, the Dallas Cowboys media relations guy, was asking me for weeks to do this interview, and I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't feel good about it. But he made me believe that it was going to be a piece about, the transition I'm making, the good I'm doing in the community, my road to getting back, and just kind of like how I plan to kind of not end up on the bad side of the commissioner or the league again. And so I said, man, all right, cool, let's do it. And so I let Seth Wickersham basically enter my life for a week. He was with me in the morning, when I wake up. He was with me when I drove to the gym after practice. This guy was with me around the clock. And what he does is he disarms you and makes himself like a fly on the wall. And then when he does that, I think you're not conscious of like, when he's in your car, the music you're listening to, for example, you're not like worried about all that ancillary things, because you're thinking it's just about what's on record. And he will get more scoop and more information about you just by observing you and formulating his own opinion. And I believe he did that to Caleb. I think he disarmed him. He was just a fly on the wall. They were having normal conversations, way too trusting of a person in the media. And they didn't realize, just like I didn't, he's not reporting what you say. He's reporting on his interpretation of your life.
Right. Absolutely. And Tank, let's really dive into this story here. So I'll give you some backstory here. On Thursday, ESPN.com posted an article focusing on Caleb Williams' reluctance to play for the Bears after he entered the draft out of USC here. Caleb Williams told his father, Caleb Williams' father told Caleb, Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die. And he also said, I don't want my son playing for the Bears, Tank. And I thought that was an interesting line coming from the father of the player here. Caleb Williams reportedly, asking, people close to him, do I want to go there? I don't think I can do it with Shane Waldron, who was the former OC there. Man, Tank, what is your reaction seeing that from the father of Caleb Williams? Well, when you read that and you heard about this, what was your reaction to it?
To me, you just being a man of principle and integrity, it's more of a reflection on the Bears and the state of the Bears. I think the Bears have been consistently drafting players that maybe they shouldn't have too high, and there's always been some questions about like, what are they doing in the early round? What's our focus? So for it get to a point where a father who's the father of the number one pick is having questions about going to the historically great Bears, I think it's more of a reflection on the Bears, man, honestly.
And we're back here on this beautiful Tuesday. Going to have a great second half of the show here, folks. If you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Can't thank you enough for joining. Folks, if you'd like to call in, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. That link is in the top of the description of the live chat, so go ahead and hit that and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Best $4.99 you've ever spent in your life. I have you call in at the second half, at the end of the show, every show, talk your shit. Spend a minute, give me your take. We'll debate it and get you out of here. So if you'd like to call in, folks, hit that like button and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. I will be joined by Alcorn State coach Leroy Frederick here in a second. Chris Karpman, unfortunately, had an emergency. He can't join here, unfortunately, folks, but not to worry. We'll have Coach Fred here in a sec. But actually, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Our special guest is here. Our main man, Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick, joins the show. Coach Fred, what up? How you doing?
I'm good, B. What's happening?
Man, not much. We're busy here live on this beautiful Tuesday. Got a lot to talk about in the college football front here, Coach Fred. And let's waste no further time and get into it. The thumbnail says it here. Kurt Warner says Shedeur Sanders is not a fifth-round draft prospect, Coach Fred. Take a listen to this, and we'll get your take.
Browns have the deepest quarterback room in the league right now, and that doesn't even include the injured Deshaun Watson. What was your evaluation of Shedeur Sanders, and how do you think he'll do there?
My evaluation was the most accurate quarterback I thought in this draft. When he sets his feet, when he's comfortable in the pocket, and he delivers the football, the ball goes where he wants it to go. And, this was a quarterback that was asked to have to win football games for his team. I don't think that can be overstated, is that, you go to a team, it's a really good team, and you become a complementary piece. Yeah, your stats might be a little bit better. Your win-loss record might be a little bit better. But to be asked to win games for your team, to have to go out there and throw the ball every single week for your team to be successful, and that's with, an offensive line that struggled over the last couple of years. I think there was a lot to like about Shedeur Sanders. Improvement, and I'm a guy that always says this. All of these guys coming out of the draft this year, I believe, must improve if they're going to be really good or great quarterbacks at the NFL.
Man, I agree with that last part he said. But I agree with a lot of what he said. Coach Fred, what did you take away from Kurt Warner's comments on Shedeur falling in the 5th round? And how do you look at Shedeur in this Brown quarterback room as we get closer to the season?
I think, that's accurate. I think everybody's been saying that from the beginning. We've all talked and debated on why he fell, this, that, and the other. I just think, we start to look for reasons, and it's already been determined, whatever it was, why he dropped, let's move on to it. And that quarterback room, kind of like we talked about last time, Bailey, is I really feel bad for Dillingham Gabriel. He's got to be darn near perfect. Because the other side of the coin is that the fan base for Shedeur is going to nitpick everything he does. And, you can say, we all say as athletes, you know how it is, Bailey. We all say we don't listen to the news. We don't read the newspapers. These guys say they don't be on social media, but they all are. So you start to read that because I saw some reports saying Dillingham Gabriel looked horrible. Some said he looked incredibly sharp. So who knows other than, the people within those walls, how that looks. But one thing for certain, Bailey, something's got to shake.
Yeah, something's got to go down, Coach. And, news came out today that Kenny Pickett and Dillingham Gabriel will take the first number 1 and 2 reps for the Browns when OTAs open. And, quote, in terms of their battling order and team drills, it will likely be Pickett and Gabriel, number 1, number 2, then Flacco and Sanders, splitting the number 3 and number 4 reps at the outset. This surprised me a little bit. If it's Kenny Pickett's job to win, is what they're saying, according to Mary Kay Cabot, reporter out in Cleveland. I think that opens it up for either rookie at this point. If it's not Flacco's job to win, if you're not going to give the veteran who's been there and done that, won a Super Bowl, and led the Browns to a playoff run recently, if you're not going to give him the keys of the ship, so to speak, I think having Kenny Pickett there, then they're going to make a statement. I think Coach Fred's getting a call. But if they're going to have Kenny Pickett, make a statement and say he's their opening quarterback 1, I think personally that leaves a lot of room open for Shedeur Sanders here, so to speak, because and Dillingham Gabriel for that matter. The fact of the matter is this: Shedeur's got to beat out all 3 of those guys if he's going to play. I mentioned this. I could see Kenny Pickett being traded to the Saints. Kenny Pickett's OC, in Philadelphia was Kellen Moore, so I could see Kenny Pickett going to the Saints. If the Saints are desperate and need a quarterback and they decide Spencer Rattler, they're not all in on Spencer Rattler, so to speak. But they also, I will mention, they gave up DTR and a pick. They gave up, more capital than you would expect to trade for Kenny Pickett. Now, Kenny Pickett did look pretty decent, I will say, in his brief time in Philly and the little amount of action that we saw him for the Eagles. But still, I think, and you can answer this, Coach Fred, I think if Kenny Pickett's the number 1 quarterback right now, I think that leaves a lot of – I think the job's more open than I might have originally thought. Agree or disagree, Coach?
I totally agree with you. I thought it was Joe Flacco and the others. Because to me, Bailey, and you tell me if I'm wrong, to me that doesn't make much sense to bring Joe back in under the contract numbers that they brought him back in. Well, to keep him, if he wasn't going to be the guy, so to speak, and then you bring Kenny Pickett in, that's a little puzzling to me.
Yeah, a little puzzling here. Up to the 1 year deal, up to 13 million in incentives. It's a 4 million per year base, I believe. Yeah, it sounds like based on Flacco's deal, if he goes and plays and wins games, he gets a lot more money. I don't know. Wait to be seen here, Fred. It's early, OTAs. We're gonna get closer. Something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna trade. Somebody's gonna fall in the depth. I don't know. We're gonna be talking about this a lot here this offseason, Coach Fred. Before we move forward and get into actual topics, Coach Fred, I don't know if you heard this, but Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend, fiance, are now engaged, apparently. According to, I don't know if it's Jordan Hudson, but according to New York Times, Miss Hudson has told at least one person that she and Mr. Belichick are engaged to be married. Coach, I talked about this earlier in the show, but I thought this was an interesting tidbit here. Tar Heels news here, so to speak. What do you think about this, Coach Fred? Are you surprised at all that he maybe tying the knot with Miss Hudson, 24 years old?
Yeah and no. I am because of the but then again, this didn't come from Bill, this came from her.
Mm-hmm.
I am because Bill has said that he's private, he's low key, he's under the radar.
Yeah.
And this just comes really, really loud, comes in hard after what happened 2 weeks ago. So this just looks like, and again, I don't want to speculate, V, but this just looks like this is all her trying to sabotage your plan of being able to watch North Carolina football, man. This is a tough one right here. Because what are you gonna do? Tell the man his wife can't come around? I mean, what are you gonna do?
I'm not. See, based on what I've heard, that this is largely blown out of proportion. The media has run with this. She's not really there that much. It's really not, what the media is cracking it out to be. That's what I'm going to really lean on here. I'm really excited to see the Cardinals play this season. They got a kid named Gio Lopez at quarterback who I'm really excited about, and I don't give a shit. Shout out to Belichick and his personal relationships, but those don't have any merit when it comes to on-the-field play, Coach. So we'll see. We'll see. But I thought this is a tidbit of news here as we get closer to the season for the Tar Heels, Coach. Well, let's really get into it and talk some more actual football here, Coach. Go ahead.
I said, don't you think that's really her just saying, whatever, North Carolina?
If that, good for her. Fuck it. I don't know if the University of North Carolina, versus Jordan Hudson's a thing, but fuck. Probably not the best idea for the school to go at odds with, I guess is what we're gonna say, Bill Belichick's significant other, right? Is that what we're gonna say, Coach? Unbelievable, Coach. But let's get into it here and talk some Travis Hunter and Jacksonville Jaguars here. So Jaguars legend Fred Taylor was asked about Travis Hunter and the Jaguars trading up to draft Travis Hunter, and he says that Travis Hunter is a unicorn and a once-in-a-lifetime player. Coach Fred, take a listen.
I just think it speaks volume of the new front office. Having James in there, having Boselli in there, and you throw in head coach Liam. It shows that they're aggressive, they're looking to win, they're looking to make a splash, and I'm all for it. When I caught wind that it was possible, I was like, let's do it. But even having Travis on our podcast, The Pivot, back in December, I told him to say Duval, and he said it. I wasn't sure that we can actually make it happen, but at the time we were trending number 2 in terms of the second pick of the draft. We won a few more games and took us to the 5th spot. But again, the front, Gladstone, Cohen, Boselli, I think along with ownership, obviously you got to get that signed off by ownership. I just thought they did a great job of bringing Travis in here, who I believe is a unicorn. He's one of those once-in-a-lifetime players that can change an organization. If you can look at the footage from rookie camp and just recent camp this week, if he makes a mistake or if it's not perfect in his eyes, he gets up there and he does it again. And that's what you want in your rookies. Not only that, but he's going to be one of the team leaders, and it's going to be something that's going to infect everyone. And I believe that's going to be the culture.
Coach Fred, I really like what I'm hearing from Fred Taylor. It makes me excited to see Travis Hunter in a game this season for the Jags. What are your thoughts on his comments there?
Man, if it is, possible, again, like we talked about before, Bailey, how long can he keep it up? And can he keep it up at a high level? I think that's going to be the most that's going to be the key thing. And you hear people talk about it all the time. Guys hit the rookie wall. So, my thing is, if he's going both ways, Bailey, he's going to hit that wall sooner than normal, time, because he's going, both ways.
Yeah.
So again, I've harped on it from the beginning. I just don't know if his frame says two-way player, Bailey. You know what I mean? I just don't know if it says two-way player at the extent that he says he wants to do it. Now, I know management, coach, and the whole nine, they're going to be smart. They're in control of it. He can say and petition to do whatever. But if they say it's only 10 plays here and then the rest there, that's what it's going to be. But 80 plays both ways, offense, defense, Bailey, I just don't know if he can hold up, man. That's a lot of pounding.
I'm really curious to see how Liam Cohen uses Travis Hunter so far in Jaguars rookie minicamp and OTAs. Travis has been exclusively on offense, from what I understand. And I believe that's partly due to Travis. I think he's more polished at the DB position. I think there's some things that he can still learn. He's such an unbelievable player on both sides of the ball. But I think from an offensive perspective, there's some things that he can polish up here. Liam Cohen says that, and staff say that Travis has a lot more to learn at wide receiver than he does at corner. So I don't really I don't take too much away from not seeing him at defensive back, Coach Fred. But let me ask you, Coach, I think you can really, really speak to this and attest to this yourself here. There's been a lot of heat coming at Travis Hunter, the way he runs routes, saying that he's not a generational talent. He takes too many steps. People are freaking out. I really think he's going to be electric for the Jags. But, Coach, what do you say to all the social media response to seeing Travis Hunter run routes and saying that, he's stumbling, he's not as polished as, people may have think here. He's getting a lot of just crap from videos like this and stuff. What do you take away from that, Coach? And can you break down the truth of all this, social media and what I'm going to say hate, so to speak, against Travis Hunter?
So I've watched all those clips, and there's some technical things that he's kind of, they all false step. You play receiver, baby. You know what I mean? They all false step. Now, I will say that he's got some stuff to learn within the route, at the top of the route, because he'll learn as a DB. Those guys up there, when that arm does that, those guys are coming. They know that's a break signal.
Yeah.
Watch his arms every time. So now I'm settling. Okay, he may hit me with a double move, whatever. And there, Bailey, it's tough to explain, but that takes that right there, going full speed, stop as quick as you can. That takes reps.
Yeah.
And, that takes reps and timing. You got to do it over and over and over. Kind of went back and looked at some of the Colorado stuff. I mean, to be honest, Bailey, he just wasn't running a lot of routes off the route tree at Colorado.
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely.
So here, having to learn different nuances of how they want their dig ran, how they want their, speed out, how they want their deep out, how they want their comeback. Those are all things that he's got to learn, and it's got to turn into muscle memory. Colorado, I think it was more like, all right, run down that 10 yards, dog, and he's standing there, keep going. If he's back there, stop. That kind of stuff, which is going to be different. It's going to be a little bit different to get used to. But, and then the dig route, got to catch that thing away from your body.
Yeah.
But those are all little things, man,
Definitely a lot of nuances. And I didn't play receiver. I played center, Coach. So I don't know. I'm not too familiar. No, it's all good. I'm not familiar. I could tell you about Jackson Powers Johnson and the Raiders, but I'm not too in depth. That's why I got you here, Coach, to break down the truth of Travis's mechanics and stuff. But, Coach, I was just harping on this, talking about this, because there's been a lot of social media outcry about Travis Hunter and stuff and how he's not polished. And you know how fans are. They're going to nitpick the shit out of everything. But I think personally, Travis is going to really work out the kinks. He's still a rookie in the NFL.
Yes.
He's an unbelievable player, but he is a rookie in the NFL. He's going to learn and develop. And, I think the sky's the limit for Travis Hunter with the Jags. I expect him, probably to play primarily receiver, play a little rover corner, wherever they need him at corner, because we haven't seen him too much at corner at all for the Jags. So it's kind of wait to be seen where they use him at corner. But I think he's going to be electric, Coach Fred. I don't understand all the social media outcry. As long as Trevor Lawrence can get him the damn ball, I think they're going to be just fine down in Duval County, Coach Fred. Agree or disagree to that?
That's the real question.
Yeah.
That's the real question.
Yeah, exactly. Wait to be seen now. I'd like to see, I think Liam Cohen can get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. James Gladstone, the 34-year-old general manager down there, is all in on Trevor Lawrence, is trying to build around Trevor Lawrence is something they talked about a lot this offseason, Coach Fred.
Can they protect him?
Yeah, can they protect him? That's the ultimate question, Coach Fred. But going back to Travis Hunter, I wanted to show Liam Cohen's comments on Travis Hunter here in his development early in Jags OTAs and minicamp. Take a listen.
Hunter handling all the information, taking it from classroom to field.
Yeah, I think so far so good. He had a couple missed assignments today that he knew right away. He came off the grass and took accountability for him. The one thing you notice is a guy that hasn't played a ton of football or been out conditioning maybe for the last 2 months because he was on a little bit of a tour. The guy can run forever. He just kind of goes, runs a route, runs back, runs. You could tell he's in football shape, and he was, he's done a nice job. Edgar Barrett, the coaches, Ron Milas, those guys have done a great job of meeting with him when they've had time to do so, and Travis has worked hard at getting this stuff right.
Typical coach speak, but I like what I'm hearing so far. The one takeaway I say about that is if Travis Hunter's in football shape, Coach, he can play both ways now. I'm not gonna say he can't. If he's in football shape, which Travis ain't never had that problem. So I looked to see it. We had Rick Ballou, Jaguars radio host on JB's show this morning. He talked about seeing Travis Hunter and talking to Travis Hunter. He says that Travis Hunter, like you mentioned, is a little bit lighter than you might expect. Probably around the 170, 175 range. He'd be shocked if he's actually a $185. I think there is some weight to be put on Travis Hunter, but a good sign. If he ain't got no conditioning problems, Coach Fred, I don't see why they couldn't play him both ways, no?
Hey, I'm a Florida boy, and I'm just going to tell you, in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be hotter than hot.
He also mentioned that. He mentioned it's hot down there, 95 degrees down there in Duval County. I don't know. How do you think the weather could play into Travis playing both ways, Coach Fred? Kind of illustrate that for people who aren't from the state of Florida.
It's going to be taxing. It's going to be a deal of where he may start the day at 175, Bailey. Mm-hmm. But by the time that humidity hits around period 5, he'll be changing out into another shirt. He'll be down 170. Yeah. Then he's going to be looking for those salt tablets.
Yeah.
To try and keep himself from cramping, because I'm sure his body fat is second to none. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now you run the risk of the cramping portion of it, right. And people think the hottest part of the day in Florida is in the afternoon. It is, but that 9 to 11 o'clock hour, Bailey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I see where you're going with this, Coach. And you know how it is. Football weigh-ins, you go out of practice, you're 177, you come back at 170. That's just how it is. Especially in the heat. I can tell you firsthand playing in Cheney, Washington. That's exactly how it is. But not like that Florida heat. It ain't nothing compared to that. But yeah, definitely a great point there, Coach Fred. I can't wait to see Travis play for the Jags. It sounds like they're all in on trying to use, all of his skill sets on both sides of the ball, and I really hope that they take advantage of it because I think he's a great and generational player, Coach. Let's move forward here and talk some Colorado Buffaloes football. I don't know if it's Colorado recruiting, but college football recruiting here, so to speak. And Colorado transfer running back Brandon Hood is committed to UMass. Now, this comes as a surprise to me. as his brother Colton Hood, who he was with at Colorado, committed to Tennessee. Now, I was really, really surprised Brandon Hood choosing UMass, but nonetheless, I think Brandon Hood was a great player who we didn't get a chance to see for the University of Colorado. But nonetheless, he finds a home with UMass, and I presume that he, gets some starting reps, gets some good reps and good film up at UMass, and potentially transfer to a bigger school in the future, because I think Brandon Hood is an electric player that we just haven't gotten a chance to see on the field at the Division I level. Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on Brandon Hood committing to UMass?
Yeah, that's different, but it's refreshing to see.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say refreshing to see, big brother, and I think they're twins. I'm not sure the separation or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the brother didn't freeze Tennessee out on that, and he stepped out on his own. So that's kind of refreshing to see. But UMass, man, and it's nothing against UMass. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough going up there. One thing I take away from this, you mentioned it. He was actually with his two brothers. There was another linebacker brother as well. They're all together at Colorado. They all leave Colorado. I think it's a big, big step for Brandon Hood to go out on his own, not be with his brother and stuff. And now I think we'll get the chance to actually see Brandon Hood. We didn't get the chance to see him at Colorado. I was surprised. He left Marshall Faulk, who's now the running back coach at Colorado, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I was really surprised he left him. But there's also, I will say, and we talked about this when he entered the transfer portal, there's a lot of competition at that running back position, especially the University of Colorado. They'll have Dallin Hayden heading the line, Ohio State transfer who we got to see at Colorado last season. Michael Welch, who we got to see as a true freshman for Colorado last season, who I expect to take some serious reps as well. So that leaves Brandon Hood. He leaves and goes to UMass here. And Coach, let me ask you: when you see players that are leaving bigger schools, going to smaller schools like UMass, do you expect Brandon Hood to stay at UMass, or do you think if he has a great season at UMass, catches some eyes, that he could be back in the portal and go to a bigger school again? Because one stat I will throw out: 60% of college players are transferred to 3 or more schools. Coach, I'll just throw that out there. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's I'd be willing to bet a dime to a dollar that's kind of the mindset. Go down there, be able to put it on tape, at least get the touches, PFF numbers up, and barter a bigger, better deal kind of thing. Someone comes to get it. Who knows? Maybe Tennessee's room is not as full as it was this year. He's back with his brother, whatever. But if he has a halfway decent year, I'll be willing to bet, like I said, a dime to a dollar, he don't finish it at UMass.
Oh, 100%. I think Brandon Hood is an absolute great player. I was really excited to see him for Colorado this season. I was really surprised that he and Colton Hood, who I thought Colton Hood was going to step up and replace Travis Hunter. But they also got DJ McKinney, who really is going to be he's a projected first rounder next year, Coach Fred. DJ McKinney is going to be that guy at corner for Colorado. But nonetheless, Brandon Hood commits to UMass. Look to see him have a good season, get on the field, get some action, get some carries, and make a name for himself up at UMass. Shout out to Brandon Hood, committed to UMass, Coach. Coach, I can't thank you enough. Let's move forward here. And, some of the topics that are going around the sports world, I just can't wait for the football season, Coach Fred. I'm tired of talking hypotheticals and Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, and just some of the headlines really, really baffle me. But Coach Fred, I wanted to ask you this. This is a list that I discussed at the beginning of the show. Top 10 college football quarterbacks according to my guy, Joel Klatt. He's got Kate Klubnik at 1, Arch Manning at 2, Washington State transfer John Mateer at 3, who's now at Oklahoma, Sam Levitt at 4, Aller at 5, Garrett Nussmeier, followed by DJ Lagway, and Lenora Sellers at 8, who's somebody I'm high on. I think it should be higher on this list if you're asking me. Luke Altmaier at 9, and Carson Beck at 10. Coach, I don't know where you have quarterbacks ranked. It's kind of early. We haven't even gotten to the season yet, but going into the season, what do you think of this list of top 10 quarterbacks from my guy Joel Klatt?
I guess you have to rank Carson Beck after he got that huge deal.
Yeah, yeah. Here you're going. Yeah,
I think you got to put him on there. And then I heard somebody talking about that about this, and you tell me how you feel about it. I'm flipping the question back to you. In the small sample size that we've seen Arch Manning, other than the last name, Bailey, what puts him as the projected number one quarterback coming out next year if he comes out? And what in that small sample size puts him in the top 5 on this list?
2 reasons. One, he sat for 3 years at Texas. I think a lot of quarterbacks, and I've talked about this a lot on this show, I think a lot of quarterbacks in Arch Manning's position would have transferred, if I'm being real with you. I think it's pretty unique in this era of college football for a player like Arch Manning to sit behind Quinn Ewers and develop, learn the system, Sark's system, and really, really develop, polish their game because, if we're being real, and I had a Texas Longhorns analyst here on the show about a few weeks ago here, and I said this to him. I was like, Sark had a lot of discipline here to not play Arch Manning because I think especially as you got into later in the year, I don't know how you feel about this, Coach, but I think if he had played Arch Manning, Texas would have been like even better. I mean, if we're being real, I thought Arch Manning was ready to play, but Sark, exercising some discipline, so to speak, playing the grizzled veteran and Quinn Ewers. I think you take that away. That's why I think Arch Manning is going to be a really, really great player because other players like him aren't doing that. That's what I take away, in my personal opinion. Coach, what do you think?
I get everything you're saying. And I think if he does play, I think that adds another couple of plays to Stark's playbook.
Yeah.
Because he can run, he can pull it down, and we know Ewers, that wasn't really his strong point. So I think that could have turned, some things around for him or added some more firepower. I agree with you on that. But also the throwing aspect, I just didn't see enough to say that he's the number 1 overall.
Yeah, I got to see it this season, Coach Fred, because they didn't use him like that. They just used him in the option, little just shovel passes and nothing crazy. Like you didn't see him, take the drops and throw it. Like great point. So it waits to be seen this season, Coach. But I'm high on Arch. Like I get they got Kate Klubnik at 1, but give it a couple games, Coach. I think Arch Manning is going to just really light it up for Texas, and people, I think it's going to be hard-pressed to move him from 1. How do you feel about Lenore Sellers? This is somebody who I think is going to really take college football by storm. I got South Carolina winning the SEC. I've been saying this is January. I think they're going to be a really great team and getting a lot of their guys back. I'm really high on Lenore Sellers. I thought he had a good season last season for South Carolina. I think he can really build on that in Shane Beamer's system this season. How do you feel about the Sellers in South Carolina?
Yeah, I think that's their overall team, coming in because they did take some strides. I think just like their coach, Coach Beam, I really think that they really had a legitimate argument to be in the playoffs, and I think that right there is something that they need to grab and move forward. If that's what they want to be, and that's where Klubnik's going to have to be really good for them defensively. If they can continue to be as good as they were at the end of the season last year, I think team-wise they're going to be pretty good.
Oh, I think Clemson's. I think it's their conference to win in the ACC. I mean, really looking at, I have a lot of question marks about Steve Kim's Miami Hurricanes and Carson Beck. I don't know how much of a believer I am of them yet. I got to see it to believe it with Carson Beck. Especially, they lost a lot of weapons, especially on the offensive side. I think the loss of Damian Martinez going to the NFL. I got to watch and see how they fill that because I think Damian Martinez took a lot of pressure off of Cam Ward last season. So definitely something to watch. But I'm all in on South Carolina. I'm really excited to see DJ Lagway in Florida. I got to see them have some real success to really be a believer in Lagway. But like you mentioned with South Carolina, they're this close away from being the playoff, Coach Fred. If it wasn't for that pick 6 back in the LSU game, God damn, they would be in the playoff right now, Coach. I remember watching that game, and I was just like, man, I don't know. I didn't realize that play would go and have such an effect on their season later in the year. I didn't realize it watching the game. I just thought it was another Saturday, and then I was like, oh, shit, now. Okay.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Definitely interesting. I'm excited to see Lenore Sellers in South Carolina, though, nonetheless. Looking at the list, Illinois and Altmaier. I think Illinois is going to be a surprise in the Big Ten. They just extended their coach Bielema, paying him $7.7 million a year and his new contract extension. I think they're going to be formidable, coach, if anything, and a better team in the Big Ten. What do you think?
They just, the couple games I got to see them last year, they just don't do it for, they just don't have that. And they don't have a $20 million roster. So to me, I don't know if they have enough to beat an Ohio State type, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I look at Illinois and Nebraska the same way. I think they have the potential to win 8 or 9 games, both of those teams, but I don't think either of those teams have what it takes to beat Ohio State and Oregon, any of the Big Ten teams. Personally, I don't.
Yeah. So I just Coach B, I think his career is kind of the same thing. He had a great start there at Arkansas, so to speak, and then it kind of tailed off. But he got the extension here. Do they have enough to get to that 8-win season, like you said?
Yeah.
And keep going. But, in this day and age of the recruiting difference, maybe they can sneak 1 or 2 and get over the top. You know what I mean? So
it's going to be a team. We're going to start, as we think about how these are going to play out, it's going to be a team like Illinois. I have a feeling Ohio State waits to be seen with their quarterback. Oregon's got Dante Moore at quarterback. I don't know how I feel about the kid. I'm big on Lanning, but I don't know. We'll see with that kid. It's going to be a team like Illinois, like a Nebraska. Like one of these teams is going to surprise some people, Fred. It's going to beat somebody and be like, oh shit, where do these guys come from? That's where we're at in college football, I think, Coach Fred. Parody, I guess we can call it. But man, Coach Fred, I can't thank you enough for joining here on this beautiful Tuesday. It's been a great second half of the show here. I can't thank you enough for joining. You kill it every time. And folks, if you're watching and like to check out Coach Fred, watch him on the Common Man podcast every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central on his show, the Common Man podcast. Check out Coach Fred. Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining, man. You got a special guest joining this week?
No, I'm just doing one of the. He's not a radio guy, but he kind of does the podcasting for the school for all the sports. He covers baseball. He covers the women's basketball. GSPN is what he calls himself. So we'll have him on, and then the rest of the way we've got doctors that are lined up and kind of cleared their schedule to come on Wednesdays to start the show with the doctor piece. Got Montel Jordan lined up here at the end of the month.
Nice.
So hopefully we'll be able to get him on, like I said, at the end of the month. So that's one of the big ones. And then we're trying to find this old SEC quarterback that went junior college, came to the SEC again, won a national championship, and became the #1 pick. So we're about close to closing that on that guy. So know somebody who knows somebody who knows him. So you know how that goes, baby. When you're trying to line up guests. So
I see that.
Trying to get, like you said, man, we're just trying to get the football season. But we're trying not to get too crazy with it. You know what I mean? I don't want to jump on there and talk about WNBA just to pass time. But
No, I don't talk any basketball on this show, Coach. God, the NBA is horrible. Like I'm on JB's train. I think it sucks. Like I don't think you're catching watching the NBA. Man, we're almost to the season, Coach Fred. 20 days into May here, almost to June. I can't wait, Coach. But Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining. I hope you have a great Tuesday, folks. Check out Coach Fred on the Common Man podcast tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central, every Wednesday on the Common Man podcast. Coach, can't thank you enough for joining. Hope you have a great Tuesday, my man.
Thank you, Big. Always, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Shout out to Alcorn State Coach Leroy Frederick for joining the show. My main man, Coach Fred, talking all things Kurt Warner, saying Shedeur Sanders is not a 5th-round draft prospect. Brandon Hood, Colorado running back transfer committing to UMass. Travis Hunter and the Jaguars, Fred Taylor. Jaguars, great. Said that Travis Hunter is a unicorn. We discussed that and so much more. Folks, it's been a great and beautiful show on this fine Tuesday. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army if you haven't. Folks, we'll be live here on Thursday with very, very special guests, multiple guests. I can't wait for you guys to see. I will put out an announcement tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But we got some very, very special guests on Thursday, folks. So tune in on Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Bailey Price Media Live. We're going to have a very, very special show on Thursday, folks. So I can't wait to show that and discuss all the things that we're going to discuss on Thursday with you. But make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. We will be doing call-ins after every show here as we get closer to the season. So if you'd like to call in, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. We'll have you call in, give your take here, and it'll be a great time here. But, folks, I can't thank you all enough for tuning in. I will be live tomorrow with Matt McChesney on 0 to 60 to talk all things Colorado Buffaloes football, including Gavin Mueller, the tight end in the class of 2026 they signed, discussing Travis Hunter and the Jaguars and all the crazy stuff going on down in Duval County and so much more. Obviously, check out the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific for the craziest and the realest show on planet Earth. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on Thursday. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Army. Thank you for watching. Peace.